Last month, we released something special. An open source AI model that can emulate real-life clinical trials and chemical screening experiments. And today, I will show you how to use this model for your own research and develop anti-aging drugs with AI. Hello everyone, I'm Fedor Galkin from In Silico Medicine, and Precious3GPT is a model we've been building for almost a year. It has been a very special project for our team. We had to be the first team ever to make AI understand omics data. You see, conversational LLMs such as ChatGPT only learn from text data, which greatly limits what they can learn. For example, if there are no explicit statements about a gene in literature, this gene might just, not exist from the viewpoint of an AI system. The scientific texts, such as PubMed articles, present only highly distilled information on a small section of biological entities, and if an LLM can only reiterate what it has seen in print, its output will be highly derivative, which is really bad if you want to use AI for generating novel hypotheses. But with Precious3GPT, we have found a way to feed omics data directly into the model. This ensures that the model generates its output not just based on something somebody else said or written, but has access to the very source of academic knowledge, the raw research data, and thus Precious3 can mine it for something new. And now, let me demonstrate how we use Precious in our internal research. Just this week, we've published a new demo project in which we apply Precious3 to geroprotect discovery. You can find all the code I'm about to show you on our Hugging Face repository, and since the model is open source, you can download it now and modify this workflow to run your own digital experiments. And now, let's proceed to the repository. So you can always find a fresh link to our Hugging Face repository here on our corporate website, insilico.com. So just click here or, use the search on Hugging Face. Now, here is the repository for our Precious model. You can download it, you can read how to operate it, but we are here for this particular project. Now, what we did, let me make it larger, is we basically asked Precious3GPT to generate the expression, methylation, and proteomic profiles for young people and old people and compare them in 8 different tissues. We used brain, heart, liver, muscle, skin, 8 tissues. And this gave us 24 aging signatures. In case of transcriptomics, these are the differentially expressed genes between 20-year-old people and 80-year-old people, right? And the same for 3 different omics. So we have 24 lists of genes which are important for the process of aging. Something happens to them when people age, right? So we can actually take a look at how we did that. So you just define a list of tissues you want to screen. You have your omics domains here, and here is the prompt which you need to populate with these different tissues and omics domains to send to Precious3GPT for it to fill in these 2 fields, up and down regulated genes. Just make sure you do not forget to include this particular instruction when you work with aging related experimental settings. There are other instructions for other settings, but since we are researching geroprotectors, we're using this instruction. So yeah, you define your young group here, old group somewhere else, yeah, here, and you start generating these signatures in a cycle, so you can see that the model actually produces differential genes. We actually saved the output of this run into a file and upload it to Hugging Face as well. So you can actually skip the first part or use these agent signatures for your own research, but we incentivize you to try Precious3 for yourself. Now, here comes the interesting part. We got the agent signatures. Now we want to find the herbs and compounds used in traditional Chinese medicine which can affect the signatures. For that, we went to Batman. Batman TCM is a great resource because it has many thousands of different formulas, that is mixtures of different roots, leaves, and tars that go into actual pills that are being used by traditional Chinese medicine practitioners. You have like many tens of thousands of compounds and 8,000 herbs. That's a lot, right? So, and probably the most important part here is that each compound in Batman 2 has a list of these. Oh, take a look. Targets, protein targets. So these are the proteins that a compound interacts with. Right, so now we have this list of genes and the agent signatures, which are also lists of genes. Now we can apply statistics to see whether any of the compound's targets significantly overlap with the agent signatures, right? And this will be our criterion for a potential geroprotector in this research. We will call a compound geroprotector if it interacts a lot with the genes that Precious3 produced as agent signatures. Right, so we do that, we apply statistical tests, we trim down the compounds until we get to a manageable list of 80 compounds, and then we can start inspecting them in more detail. Right, we made a breakdown of how many compounds affect each tissue in particular. For example, we have 38 compounds that affect skin tissue. That could be useful if you are trying to invent a new topical cream or like anti-aging serum, which you put on skin and it remains youthful and smooth and all that stuff. So you can take a deep look and focus on these 38 compounds in particular and try to find the way to mix them together into a cosmetic cream. But what we were more interested in are the compounds that affect not just one or two tissues, but as many tissues as possible. In fact, we found 8 compounds that affect all the 8 tissues that we tried. You can see some well-known compounds here: quercetin, resveratrol, curcumin, tea leaf extract. That stuff hits the aging processes in all the tissues that we tried. Right, so here are all the like superhitters, heavy hitters of anti-aging that we identified with Precious3GPT. And now we go back to Batman once again, but this time we want to find the herbs and, more interestingly, the formulas that contain as many compounds from these. Oh, I lost in the tabs. Where was it? Here it is. So we want to identify the formulas and herbs that contain as many compounds from this list as possible. For these purposes, we actually uploaded Batman 2 to Hugging Face datasets, and you can actually, if you're working with anti-aging, traditional Chinese medicine, and LLMs or other generative AI settings, you can easily import all Batman formulas, herbs, and ingredients with just these 2 Python lines, right? It's really easy now. We contacted the co-author, they were kind enough, they helped us to put it on Hugging Face. Now everybody can work with it. Right, so you load the dataset, and now you can actually run something like search using a small mini module that we put particularly for these projects to find the formula with the maximal amount of compounds from the provided list. In our case, we found only one formula that has 13 out of 14 compounds. So this is how you basically cook this formula. You take, this is what it is called, right? You can probably copy it and look it up. Maybe somebody's selling it somewhere in China, and you can actually look, yeah, what goes into this formula. It's a lot of stuff, right? 75 ingredients, that's a lot, right? And you can actually look this up in some other database of traditional Chinese medicine, read up more about it. Here is this very formula that I found on Baidu. Let's translate to English. and you can read some more about it. You can maybe even find somebody who's selling it here. So this is the basic workflow that I wanted to show to you. And but it's not the only workflow that you can do with this notebook and with Precious3, right? You might be interested in different tissues. Knock yourself out, replace these tissues and look at the tissues that you're interested in. You can adjust the age groups, right? You might be interested in sex-specific aging differences, right? Then you need to specify the gender of your study cohorts and lots of other stuff that you can do with this prompt structure, right? You can try completely different settings. You might not be interested in aging. In this case, your case and control groups will not be different in age. They will be different in EFO or the disease they're suffering from, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do with this, and you can access it freely. This is an open source model and all the resources are publicly there. Just go to Hugging Face and start using AI to help your research. So this is basically all I want to say. So this is it. You can now use Precious3 to screen your own library of compounds for geroprotectors. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, make sure to visit our repositories, read our article, and subscribe to our social media. I hope this gave you a better understanding of what Precious3GPT is and how it can help you. In the meantime, keep exploring, stay curious, and remember that generative AI is a powerful tool that can boost your research. Take care and see you in the next video.